She believed her money could buy everything: respect, forgiveness, even justice. Victoria Hensley had said it out loud to her assistant in a parking garage just 20 minutes earlier. Municipal court. Perfect. I'll show him how this city really works. She entered Providence Municipal Court Tuesday morning holding a venti latte, designer sunglasses pushed up on her head, phone in one hand. She didn't remove the sunglasses when she signed in. She didn't silence her phone. And when the clerk instructed her to dispose of the coffee before entering the courtroom, Victoria smiled and replied, "It's community theater, not the Supreme Court." The clerk made a note. "Before we show you what happened next, tell us where you're watching from, and subscribe to Order in the Court, because this case proves you can throw coffee at justice, but it always comes back hot at 9:46 a.m. Court Clerk Paige Lewis called the case. Case number 25-TR5812. City of Providence versus Victoria Hensley. Charges include reckless operation, failure to yield, and interference with a police investigation. Victoria Hensley approached the podium. Coffee cup still in hand, Judge Caprio looked up. "Miss Hensley, no beverages at the podium. Please place it on the table behind you." She set it on the edge of the podium instead. Half compliant, performative. "Miss Hensley," Judge Caprio said evenly, "I said the table." "It's fine, hey." The judge's voice didn't rise. "It's not a request. It's a rule." She sighed, picked up the cup, and placed it loudly on the defense table. Entitlement was already on the record. Before testimony even began, Judge Caprio opened the file. "Miss Hensley, you are charged with reckless operation on October 18th at the intersection of Westminster and Dorrance. You ran a red light, nearly struck a vehicle occupied by two civilians, and when stopped by Officer Nolan, you allegedly interfered with his duties. How do you plead?" "Not guilty." "Very well. You'll have the opportunity to explain yourself," Judge Caprio said calmly. "Officer Nolan is present to testify, and you will be allowed to respond. This should be brief." He gestured toward the officer standing near the clerk's table. "Officer Daniel Nolan, please step forward and be sworn." Officer Nolan, 31, in full uniform, walked to the witness stand. Clerk Paige Lewis administered the oath. "Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?" "I do." Judge Caprio nodded. "Officer Nolan, tell the court what you observed on October 18th. Officer Nolan glanced at his notes. "Your Honor, at approximately 4:27 p.m., I was on patrol at Westminster and Dorrance. I observed a white Mercedes sedan, Rhode Island plate LXR 492, proceed through a red light at a high rate of speed. The vehicle came within 3 feet of striking a blue Honda Civic that had the right-of-way. The Honda driver was forced to brake hard to avoid a collision. Did you initiate a traffic stop?" "Yes, Your Honor. I activated my emergency lights and pulled the Mercedes over 2 blocks east on Westminster." "What occurred when you approached the vehicle?" "The driver, identified as Miss Hensley, exited the vehicle before I could reach it. She was on her phone. I instructed her to end the call and return to the vehicle. She told me to wait." "Did she comply?" "After approximately 30 seconds, she ended the call, but remained standing outside the vehicle." "What did you say to her next?" "I informed her that she had run a red light and nearly caused an accident. I requested her license and registration." "Did she provide them?" "Eventually. Before doing so, she said, 'Do you know who I am?'" Victoria Hensley's voice cut in from the podium. "I did not say that." Judge Caprio raised his hand without looking at her. "Miss Hensley, you will have your turn. Officer Nolan, continue." She then provided her license. After that, she stated, "If you make this legal, you will regret it financially." Those were her exact words. Did you perceive that as a threat? "Yes, Your Honor. I believe she was implying legal or financial retaliation if I issued the citation." "What was your response?" "I informed her that threatening an officer constitutes a separate offense." "And her reaction?" "She said she wasn't threatening me. She was clarifying reality." She then asked how much it would take to make the stop go away. The courtroom stirred. Judge Caprio leaned forward. "She offered you money?" "Not directly, Your Honor. She said, Officers like you make $40,000 a year. I can make problems disappear. Think about it. What did you do next? I told her I was issuing the citation and that any further interference would result in additional charges. She took a photo of my badge number and said her attorney would be in touch. Did she sign the citation? Under protest, yes. Then she drove away. Judge Caprio lowered his gaze and made notes. Officer Nolan, Judge Caprio asked, in your 9 years with the Providence Police Department, have you ever accepted money to dismiss a citation? No, Your Honor. Never. Has anyone ever offered? Twice. And what did you do? Both times, I added charges. Judge Caprio nodded once. Thank you. Miss Hensley, your turn. Victoria Hensley lifted her coffee cup from the defense table and carried it back to the podium. Judge Caprio's voice was flat. Miss Hensley, I told you, no beverages at the podium. It's coffee, Your Honor, not a weapon. It's a rule. Put it back. She placed it on the edge of the podium again. The same spot as before. Miss Hensley, the judge said evenly. The table. It's not hurting anyone. Judge Caprio turned his head slightly. Officer Harris. The bailiff stepped forward, removed the cup from the podium, and placed it on the defense table. Victoria Hensley's jaw tightened. This is ridiculous. This is decorum, Judge Caprio replied. Now respond to Officer Nolan's testimony. She crossed her arms. Officer Nolan has a creative memory. I didn't threaten him. I didn't offer him money. I told him the truth. That I have resources and I won't be bullied by someone having a bad day. You're saying he fabricated this. I'm saying officers like to dramatize. It makes their reports sound more important. Did you run the red light? It was yellow when I entered the intersection. Officer Nolan says it was red. He was half a block away. He was close enough to see the blue Honda nearly collide with you. Nearly isn't the same as actually. Judge Caprio paused. Miss Hensley, the driver of the Honda is present. Would you like to hear his account? She waved her hand dismissively. Sure, let's hear it. Judge Caprio gestured toward the gallery. Mr. Harold Grant, please step forward and be sworn. Harold Grant, 63, gray-haired, wearing a work jacket, walked to the stand. The clerk administered the oath. Mr. Grant, were you driving the blue Honda Civic on October 18th at Westminster Endurance? Yes, Your Honor. My wife was in the passenger seat. Tell the court what happened. We had a green light. I started through the intersection. Suddenly, a white Mercedes came flying through from the left. I slammed on the brakes. My wife screamed. We missed her by maybe 2 or 3 feet. Did the Mercedes stop? No, sir. She kept going. If Officer Nolan hadn't pulled her over, she would have just disappeared. Did you speak with Miss Hensley after the stop? I tried. I got out of my car and walked over. I wanted her to understand how close she came to killing us. What did she say? Mr. Grant glanced at Victoria Hensley, then back at the judge. She told me to get back in my car. I said she nearly killed my wife. She pulled out her wallet and said, "How much to make you go away?" The courtroom fell silent. Judge Caprio set his pen down. She offered you money. Yes, Your Honor. She said, name a number. I'll write a check right now. What did you do? I told her I didn't want her money. I wanted her off the road. She laughed and said, you drive a 10-year-old Civic. You want the money. That's not what I said. Victoria Hensley snapped. Judge Caprio raised a hand without looking at her. You will have your turn. He turned back to the witness. Mr. Grant, what happened next? Officer Nolan told her to stop talking and told me to return to my vehicle. I did. He took my statement, gave me a case number, and said I might be called as a witness. And here you are. Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Grant. You may step down. Harold Grant returned to his seat. Judge Caprio turned back to the podium. Miss Hensley, Mr. Grant's testimony corroborates Officer Nolan's. You attempted to use money to silence both of them. That's his interpretation. 2 people. Same account. She scoffed. This city is addicted to traffic tickets. Everyone knows it. I pay for this courtroom with my taxes, and this is how I'm treated. This courtroom is not funded by arrogance. Miss Hensley, Judge Caprio said evenly. It is funded by accountability. I'm being held accountable for trying to keep things civil. You are being held accountable for running a red light, nearly causing a collision, and attempting to obstruct an officer. That is not civil. That is criminal. The clock timestamped the record. 9:58 a.m. Accountability entered. Judge Caprio opened a second file. Miss Hensley, I'm reviewing your history. This is not your first traffic violation. Everyone has tickets. Not everyone has a prior incident involving interference. He looked down. May 20th, 2023. Officer Ramirez cited you for failure to stop at a stop sign. You allegedly offered to settle privately. The charge was later withdrawn. That was resolved. How? Private settlement. Officer Ramirez and I came to an understanding. An understanding, Judge Caprio repeated, yes. Meaning you paid him to ignore the violation. Meaning we resolved it without wasting the court's time. Judge Caprio closed the file. Miss Hensley, paying someone to look the other way is not resolution. It's corruption. I was told that case was sealed. It's sealed from the public, he said calmly. Not from the bench. And it establishes a pattern. She folded her arms. I believe money solves problems. Money solves convenience, Judge Caprio replied. Not accountability. With respect, Your Honor, I pay more in taxes than most people in this room make in a year. I fund the schools, the roads, the police. I believe I've earned some leeway. You can't buy respect, Miss Hensley. You earn it, and you haven't earned any today. She reached back, grabbed her coffee from the defense table, and brought it to the podium again. Judge Caprio didn't raise his voice. Miss Hensley, I've told you twice. No beverages at the podium. It's coffee, not contraband. I'm not pouring it on your precious paperwork. You're testing boundaries. I'm standing here holding a cup. That's not a crime. It is when you're defying direct orders from a bench. She lifted the cup, took a slow sip, and stared at him. Miss Hensley, Judge Caprio said, this is your final warning. Put the coffee down or you will be held in contempt. Maybe if you spent less time micromanaging coffee cups and more time understanding how the real world works, we'd all get out of here faster. Judge Caprio leaned back 0.5 second past 0.7.10.12. The courtroom watched arrogance test restraint. Then the judge spoke, his voice still quiet. Still controlled. Power doesn't need to announce itself, Miss Hensley. It simply exists. She smirked. Maybe yours doesn't, Your Honor. Mine does. She raised the cup, not to drink, but to gesture, and then she threw it. The lid popped off mid-E. Hot coffee splashed across the podium, the clerk's table, and the front of the bench. Papers soaked instantly. The court seal darkened under liquid. Coffee streaked Judge Caprio's robe. Miss Paige Lewis gasped and shoved her chair back. The courtroom froze. Judge Frank Caprio did not stand, did not shout, did not react emotionally. He turned his head slightly. Officer Harris, he said calmly. Secure the defendant. The bailiff moved immediately. Within seconds, Victoria Hensley's hands were behind her back. The cuffs clicked shut. This is insane, she snapped, jerking against them. You can't be serious. I'm very serious, Judge Caprio replied. And if you keep talking, you'll earn yourself a cell. Miss Lewis stewed, coffee dripping from her sleeve. Your Honor, should I call for backup? No, Judge Caprio said. Officer Harris has control. He looked directly at Victoria Hensley. Her face was flushed, her hands were cuffed, her voice trembled with rage. Miss Hensley, Judge Caprio said evenly, you have just committed assault on a judicial officer, destruction of court property, and direct criminal contempt. He turned slightly. Officer Harris will escort you to holding. We will reconvene in 30 minutes after I change my robe and the clerk secures the damaged files. This is insane, she snapped. This is consequence. Officer Harris guided her toward the door. She twisted against his grip. He didn't loosen. You embarrass me in front of everyone. Judge Caprio's voice followed her. No, Miss Hensley. You did that yourself. The door closed. Privilege ended where the cuffs began. Judge Caprio stood. Court is in recess for 30 minutes. Miss Lewis, document the damage and photograph the evidence. Officer Nolan, Mr. Grant, remain available. He stepped down from the bench. The courtroom exhaled. 30 minutes later, the woman who had entered as if she owned the room returned in county steel. Judge Caprio re-entered in a clean robe. The clerk's desk had been wiped down. Coffee-stained documents sat sealed in evidence bags. Officer Harris stood beside Victoria Hensley. Her cuffs were now in front. Standard for court appearances. She looked smaller. The sunglasses were gone. The phone was gone. The coffee was evidence. Judge Caprio took his seat. Miss Hensley, you are here to address the contempt charge. Before I proceed, do you wish to say anything? Sorry, your robe got wet. The judge didn't blink. Is that genuine or performative? I don't know what you want me to say. The truth would be helpful. The truth is you embarrassed me in front of a room full of strangers because I held a coffee cup. I gave you multiple opportunities to follow a simple rule, Judge Caprio replied. You chose not to. Then you escalated to assault. I threw coffee. I didn't throw a punch. Hot coffee is a weapon. You endangered my clerk, Officer Harris, and the integrity of this proceeding. Integrity, she scoffed. You humiliated me. You mistake humility for weakness, Miss Hensley. The law does not. She said nothing. Judge Caprio opened his notepad. I am finding you in direct criminal contempt of court. The facts are these. You were ordered 3 times to remove a beverage from the podium. You refused. You were warned that further disobedience would result in contempt. You responded by throwing the beverage at the bench, striking court property and court personnel. I was frustrated. Frustration is not a defense. What do you want from me? Accountability. Fine. I'm sorry. Can I go now? Judge Caprio shook his head. Miss Hensley, this court could sentence you to 30 days in custody immediately. Summary contempt allows that without a hearing. But I will not act from ego. I will act from principle. She stared at him. Here is your sentence. 30 days in custody, suspended. Her posture shifted, conditional upon completion of 5 days of community service inside this courthouse. You will assist custodial and clerical staff. No public interaction. You will mop floors, file documents, and learn how this building actually functions. Her mouth opened. You will also write formal handwritten apologies to Officer Nolan, Mr. Harold Grant, and Miss Paige Lewis. Not emails, not texts. Handwritten letters delivered to this court within 7 days. And you will pay court costs, including replacement of damaged files, cleaning of my robe, and compensation to Miss Lewis for her time in dry cleaning. How much? $570. That's insane. That's accountability. Judge Caprio turned to the bailiff. Officer Harris, Miss Hensley is released on her own recognizance pending completion of these terms. Failure to comply activates the 30-day sentence immediately. Understood, Your Honor. The judge returned his attention to her. Miss Hensley, consequences are not humiliation. They are education. You came into this courtroom believing money entitled you to special treatment. It does not. You believed I would tolerate disrespect because you allowed. I will not. And you believed throwing coffee would prove something. It did. It proved you do not understand what justice actually costs. She lowered her eyes. You will begin your community service Monday morning at 8 a.m., Judge Caprio said. You will report to Miss Lewis. She will assign your duties. You will arrive on time. You will dress appropriately. You will do the work without complaint. If you have questions, you will ask them respectfully. If you have objections, you will save them for your attorney. Do you understand? Yes. Yes what? Yes, Your Honor. Judge Caprio nodded. Officer Harris, release her. The cuffs came off. Victoria Hensley rubbed her wrists. Judge Caprio looked past her, to Officer Nolan, to Harold Grant, to the people in the gallery who had waited their turn. Before we adjourn, I want to say something to everyone here. When someone disrespects this courtroom, they don't disrespect me. They disrespect every citizen who waits their turn, every officer who takes an oath, every clerk who stays late processing paperwork because the system is backed up, every person who believes the rules apply equally. He paused. This isn't my courtroom. It belongs to them. It belongs to the people who trust it. And the moment someone tries to buy their way out of accountability, they insult everyone who can't. I won't allow that. Not here. Not ever. The room was silent. Judge Caprio turned to Officer Nolan. Officer Nolan, thank you for your restraint and professionalism. You were threatened. You were insulted. And you did your job anyway. That is what good policing looks like. Thank you, Your Honor. He turned to Harold Grant. Mr. Grant, thank you for coming forward. You didn't have to testify. You could have stayed home. But you came because you believed this process mattered. It does, because of people like you. Harold Grant nodded. Judge Caprio turned to the clerk. Miss Lewis, are you all right? Yes, Your Honor. I just need a new blouse. Send me the receipt. The court will cover it. Thank you. Judge Caprio picked up the gavel. This court is adjourned. The gavel fell. By that evening. The headline was everywhere. Woman throws coffee at Judge Caprio, handcuffed 30 seconds later. But the viral moment wasn't the throw. It was the line. Officer Harris, secure the defendant. Calm, cold, controlled. People replayed it, shared it, debated it. Some said she should have been jailed immediately. Others said she was shown mercy she didn't deserve. But everyone agreed on one thing. Coffee is hottest when it burns your ego. That afternoon, inside his chambers, Judge Frank Caprio wrote a single line in his journal. Power is calm. Beneath it, he added, anger convicts the guilty. Calm condemns them. A knock at the door. Your Honor, his clerk said. Do you want me to call a medic? The coffee was hot. You might have a burn. I'm fine. Are you sure? He looked up. Miss Lewis, I've been disrespected before. I've been yelled at. Threatened. Once, someone even spit on me. But coffee, that's a new one. She smiled. For what it's worth, you didn't flinch. Flinching gives them power. She hesitated. Do you think she'll actually complete the service? She will. If she doesn't, she'll spend 30 days in a cell. And people like Miss Hensley fear confinement more than humiliation. You really think she'll learn? Judge Caprio glanced at the coffee-stained files on his desk. I think she'll remember. And sometimes, that's enough. Before leaving for the day, he issued one final order, a victim notification letter to Harold Grant and his wife, informing them the case had been resolved, that the defendant had been held accountable, and that their courage mattered. Because justice isn't only what happens in a courtroom, but it's what people carry home with them. After Victoria Hensley completed her 5 days of community service, she mopped floors, filed documents, restocked supplies. That on the third day, Miss Lewis found her sitting in the hallway during lunch, watching people wait for their hearings. You all right? Miss Lewis asked. Victoria nodded. I didn't realize how many people come through here every day. About 200, Miss Lewis said. And they all wait. Even the ones with money. Especially the ones with money. Because money doesn't buy line cuts, hey. Victoria looked down. I was awful to you. Yes, you were. I'm sorry. Miss Lewis sat beside her. Apology accepted. But you should know, Judge Caprio could have destroyed you. He could have made an example. He could have put you in jail and thrown away the key. He didn't. Do you know why? Victoria shook her head. Because he's not interested in punishment. He's interested in lessons. And you just learned one. Victoria Hensley delivered her handwritten apologies on day 6. Officer Nolan framed his. Harold Grant kept his in his wallet. Miss Lewis placed hers on her desk. And Judge Frank Caprio kept the coffee-stained case file in his office. Not as a trophy. As a reminder that respect isn't bought. Its own point one ruling at a time. She entered believing money equaled worth. She left understanding respect equals freedom. Would you have jailed her for the full 30 days on the spot? Tell us below, and share this, so someone else thinks twice before throwing contempt at the bench. Dramatization for storytelling and education, not legal advice or reporting.